I'll try again. I tried it on my, tried to do a hangout on my iPhone, but the signal is so weak in the bunker, it didn't happen. So I am trying on the laptop, which is still in the bunker, but it's far more powerful than my iPhone. So if anyone's there, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. What's happening in your world? Nothing. Oh, good. Oh well, if nothing happens, that's all right. Yes, my poor old iPhone doesn't suck enough power out of the Wi-Fi to keep it going. But it was a dismal failure. You there, Tucker? When I did have the vision going, g'day Janet Bruce, Lee, how are you? If you're there, Tucker, did you see the bubbles floating around? That's one of my meditation videos. I was just curious to how the vision was coming out. Still bloody cold here. Winter. I do not like it. Not too bad. It's about 8 degrees Celsius, so I can't complain. But it has been -4. We're heading that way tomorrow. They can shove winter up your backside. Much prefer the hot. Yeah. Enjoying today. We had rain, so we got a break from gardening. Oh, yeah, mind you, your gardening is now being looked after. Let's be honest, you cannot beat rainwater. Pulled your first potatoes. That's always good fun. I deliberately, shouldn't pull potatoes before their time, but I do like baby potatoes, straight out of your garden. Depends what you're growing, but I like the little pink potatoes, baby potatoes. Not sure what you call them in the US, but they're just delicious. Steamed, bit of butter, bit of fresh parsley, cracked pepper. Anyone feeling hungry about now? We've had absolutely bugger all rain. I've moved from the west coast of Australia to the east coast. And in my old part of the country, the west coast, it is pissing down. There's more rain than they've had in years. Here, dry as a bone, cold. Because it's no cloud in the middle of winter, it's even colder. Oh, we go months without rain. Jan and Bruce, it's just the nature of our country. Beautiful country. It can be very, very severe as far as weather goes. G'day, Molly. I used to have a friend of mine about 3 or 4 years ago keep me up to date. G'day, Andrew. About hurricane season. Of course, you're in the middle of that, coming to the end of the first part. The US generally has two sort of hurricane seasons, spring and early summer. But hopefully there's been very few tornadoes. That would be good news. But I always enjoy people talking about growing their own food because it tastes better and it's rewarding. Plant something, let it grow, look after it, keep the bugs off with a bit of garlic and chili spray. And you sit at your table with the food that you grew. Cannot be beaten. Unless if someone else cooks it for you, but I do enjoy cooking as well. I think there's a symbiotism. I probably said that wrong because it's very early in the morning, between growing food and cooking. It's sort of like they're hand in hand. And I've often said people who are even bad gardeners, and let's be honest, when you first start off, you're not that flash in the garden. But even a bad gardener eats well. I try to grow strawberries, Molly. Well, I do grow them, but with 8 grandchildren, I don't get to see them. Garden candy. give you an idea on some of the prices here, Lee, for cabbages. You can walk into any major supermarket in Australia, and it's just, let's say a Savoy cabbage or any hard head cabbage. They're not that big. They're probably about, I don't know, 10 inches across, 9 inches across. You can pay up to $5 Australian for one cabbage. You can buy one seed of cabbage. It will cost you 0.0000001 cent and grow the same thing. Are people lazy? Well, I have to say yes, because I hear all the excuses in the world that I don't have time. You heard it, Lee, I'm sure. I don't have time to grow anything, but I can sit back in front of the computer for 15 hours straight, if you get my drift. Any gardener here can tell you, after you've done all the hard work, good morning, Cameo. If you've done all the hard work, put all the fertilizers in, you mulched your garden, you put your hard work in. It's easy after that. It's probably, well, I'll ask Lee, if you've got a veggie garden, I would spend no more than half an hour a day, less probably, looking after it. Yeah, you can grow an extraordinary amount of food in pots. But like I say, when people say to me, "Oh, I haven't got time," no, they really should be saying, "I can't be bothered." If you want to be brutally honest, you just can't be bothered. And they're the ones that'll go to the supermarket and pay $5 for a cabbage. Or this is a good one. I saw it last year, $4.50 for one iceberg lettuce. I could not believe it. It's basically 99% water and it's green. $4.50. Oh, Cameo, while I got you, I was flat out working yesterday and I didn't get near my phone. But I did get a missed call from Blinky, so I will call her back later today. But I don't know if you've heard any more. Hopefully all things are down the road to recovery. Never easy after having a stroke. Yeah, a lot of people, when I was a kid, I used to live in the UK, Hondo, and everyone was entitled to, and even in my country, you're entitled to, but no one does it, to an allotment where you could go down and you'd have, I don't know, quarter acre of land and you could grow whatever you like there. So you don't need to have land of your own. I'm pretty sure in the US, I'm pretty sure there's a law where you're entitled to your local counties to have land set aside for the community to grow community gardens. Now, it doesn't mean anyone can go there and pick your veggies or fruit. It means you can in your little allocated lot. So when people say they haven't got any land, well, you need to look into local ordinances and laws, and you'll find in most Western countries an entitlement to have a small allotment. So you can live in a high-rise flat, still drive, say, 20 minutes to a little block of land, and grow all your own food. Oh, she called you too, did she? I don't know what time she called me. I'll have a quick look. No, don't know. It just says yesterday now, so. Sharty McFarty. I hope that creepy couple, Big Becca and Lying Prime Dave, don't show up in here. I don't really care. I just don't go along with any of the nonsense. People will certainly know me by now. I'm not into interpersonal disputes. Give you an idea, Sharty. If I had a problem with you, I'd take it offline. We'd talk and sort out maybe a problem or maybe not. But then I would, with you, hopefully agree that we would just leave each other alone and move on with our lives. Some people, I don't know, I think they intentionally come on here to cause grief. And in the end, I suppose my thoughts are, what is the reward of giving someone else a hard time? Is it because your life's a piece of shit and you want to share your misery with others? I think that's a big thing, actually. I think it's true. Not everyone has the abilities to get out of their home. Or maybe they're frustrated, angry, and they figure the best way for them to get any relief is to give other people a hard time. Probably is some sort of therapy, but it means that you're causing other people grief because your life's not real good. But the best part of life is that if you're still breathing, stop bitching. Because when you stop breathing, there's nothing to complain about. No, well, that pen would have hopefully have got to him a lot earlier, Andrew, but that pin, I'll just answer Jan's, what she put in text. Yeah, look, there is issues with your local environment with growing food, and there are certain parts of the garden that are really in shade most of the time. So having big pots, and I'm damn sure that you've got a very good trolley that you can put it underneath those pots and move them around, from season to season. So you can grow, seriously, you can grow an enormous amount of food in a big pot. But the pin was sent for a reason, Hondo. That was that both my grandfathers fought in Flanders in France for the First World War. Didn't know each other, of course, but they were on the same side. And as a kid, I would hear stories from my grandfather. One of the most ones that stick in my mind is my mother's grandfather used to say, "War is all about wet socks and shitty food." That's what he said, and it stuck in my mind as a kid. Wet socks and shitty food. But yeah, no, it was just a gesture from me with my association with the people that are served to Voodoo, who obviously didn't get a real good run at it. Ended up with a lot of problems from it. And even though it's not from his country, it certainly has a poignancy that he would understand. I probably forgot to say hello to anyone, but if I've forgot to say hello to you, I'm saying hello to you now. I'm up early. I went to bed too bloody early. Too much work on the computer for my business yesterday, and I was knackered. And I don't know about you guys, I cannot sleep more than about 6 hours. And I'm not very good at lying in bed with my eyes open. So I got up about 5 this morning, which is okay. And I'm sure like some of you, so I feel a bit tired later in the day. I'll have an banana nap for half an hour. But hopefully, and I don't know if you guys are noticing it, I am. I'm not always on YouTube, as you've gathered, but when I have come back on and off over the last couple of weeks, there seems to be a settling, not of problems or issues, but less of them. And that's a good thing. To come on YouTube, I usually come on to enjoy myself, have a bit of a chat, and then I go and do about my business. I don't get consumed with it. I still can't work out, and please don't take this as a sexist remark. It's merely an observation. But I'll go into rooms and there'll be 4 or 5 women there just fighting over, I have no idea what. Must be personality clashes or ego, I certainly don't do Facebook or the Twitter thing or anything else like that. I just pop on off YouTube from time to time. But for some reason, women get stuck into each other like you would not believe over issues that are not important. Is it just me, or is that what you observe as well? No, I'm probably gone off the air because no one's talking to me. That's okay. Text in, am I here? I've probably died on the interwebs. I don't know. Has it fallen off the perch? Am I in hyperspace, all alone in the dark of vacuum of YouTube? Probably. I shall see if I've got internet. Yeah, I've got internet. My great-great-granddad was on my mum's dad's side, was a drummer boy for the Confederate Army. And after the Civil War, he re-enlisted in the American Army as a Rough Rider. Fought in World War One. Yeah, I'm with you, Jan. I've been busy for different reasons this year, but I'm normally in the garden most times. It's like, for me, I'll give you my view about war, and that is it's young man's blood for old men's anger. Hasn't changed throughout the millenniums of time. Young men are forced to fight the anger of old men. And that's how it is. I'll give you the best example I could ever give you, and that is imagine the millions of Russians standing on one side of the border and the millions of Americans standing on the other side of the border looking at each other. You all have more things in common than you have against each other. You all want your kids to have good food, good education, good life. It's usually only the leaders of countries that cause conflict, because if those millions of Russians and millions of Americans sat down and had a beer and a barbecue, there'd be no fighting. It really is the minority of the planet who rules the majority that cause all the death. And wars are created for no reason, or usually profit, let's be honest, at the bequest of the people that own the planet. But I'm not going down that path, if you know what I mean. So next time you see a Russian walk in the streets of America, say, "G'day, mate. Would you like a beer?" And you'd be surprised what you'll come across. You know, indoctrination's died. No politician can tell me to hate anyone on this planet because they're full of shit. Politicians are only after sort of a perspective of their own, to pat themselves on the back. I've created a war and we won it. Yay, millions of people died. I'm a good guy, aren't I? Hang on. You're a total knobhead. Like I said, war is usually young men's blood for old men's anger. Would I have gone to war if conscripted? When I was younger, I'll be honest, I probably would have. It would have been the same reasons my grandfathers went to war. It would have been excitement, travel, but as I get older, if I was asked the same question, the answer would no. Shove it up your ass. Why would I fight your war? I'll defend. Any one of you would say the same thing. Would you defend your country? Absolutely. Even if you were left with just big sticks and rocks, you would defend your country to your last breath. There's no question about that. But why would you go to another country to fight someone else that you don't know for no real reason, only under the guise of someone saying, they're out to get us, so we're going to get them first? It's ridiculous when you think about it. It's so cold, my light is hardly working. So, what else is happening in the wonderful world of the bottom of YouTube? I imagine there are peace accords happening everywhere, and love is in the air. Every time I look around. Maybe not. One could hope. Lots of people get accused of silly things on YouTube and attacked. And if anyone's here that wants to silly accuse me of things and attack me, go for it. Because I honestly can tell you I don't give a rat's ass. I don't care. I'm here to have a bit of a laugh, chat with people I know and get to know people. And there's some people I've already met over a number of years that are very, very good to me, and I'm good to them, and we have a good time. What does Jan say? Oh no, my grandfather was in the 7th Cavalry and spent his time chasing Pancharilla around the West before World War One. Andrew says he was 11 as a drummer boy. Yeah, that's true. I do know the fact that in different parts of the world it was very similar. Normally they have to be about a minimum of 9, but they could be drummer boys. There's a famous song about that. I forget what it is at the moment. He saw a lot of death in the Civil War. He served in the hottest part of the battles. The drummer corps death rates were the worst. Yes, and you're standing there with a couple of sticks in your hand. You know, as if you could fend off a musket. Bloody cold weather. It's killing me lighter. I shall try another. Good morning, Chamo. Good morning to you, my friend. It's good to see you there. I'm just up early because I got to bed late. I got to bed early as well. Finally got the cigarette lit. But I don't know why. If someone can explain to me, and again, I wasn't being sexist earlier when I said I've been into rooms where women are just fighting each other. I swear if they're in the same room, they pull their hair out and kick each other. And what is the anger that's within these women that want to join panels on Hangouts and just, go for it? What is it? Did they miss a path in female wrestling? Is that where they should have taken their career path? It's not exclusive for women, don't get me wrong, but it's predominantly women hating on each other. Now, I'm pretty naive when it comes to all other forms of social media. Maybe Jan and Bruce can help me out here, or any of you. But does this continue on other formats as well, like Facebook, Twitter, whatever else there is? There must be hundreds of different formats now. Is it women attacking women mainly? That's what I'm seeing on YouTube, predominantly. Women hang on. Well, that is true. If I have a fight with Chamo in the real world, g'day, B, mate. If I had a fight with Chamo in the real world, we'd probably have a bit of a dust up, and it'd work out one way or the other. We'd have a beer afterwards and a bit of laugh, or we'd just say, look, I want nothing to do with it. And we'd be done with it. It's just, we're done with it. I don't know whether men move on from situations different from women. Hello, Mandy. But I know I do. In the past, when I've had conflicts, well, with anyone, I'll either resolve them or I move on. There are no two other ways for me. You can either reconcile and work out, and, agree to disagree for life, but comfortably move on from a problem. That doesn't mean that it's forever being festered. And that's what I'm probably trying to say more than anything, Jan and Bruce, is that you see the same argument about the same people repeated. It's like wash and recycle. Hang it out on the line again. Let's bitch. Okay? Wash and recycle. It seems impossible for some people to move on, which means, I have to be honest with you, that they end up being self-destructive. I did do a video probably 4 or 5 months ago saying what I thought I was seeing unfolding, particularly on the bottom of YouTube, is that people were in self-destruct mode. If you set a task to destroy other people, you end up destroying yourself in one form or another. Either your credibility is shot, you're not believed, you're not believable, making accusations about people without facts is alluding to the truth, or in old terminology, a fucking lie, if you get my point. Pondo says great-granddad was Patton's senior officer during the Rouergue Mexican campaign. Well, I was going back that long. My granddad served under Patton's 3rd Army Corps in World War II. Gemma, catch you later, mate. I'm only on for a little while, but another cup of coffee in a second. I've always fought with my fists. I was speaking to someone the other day, VMAC, about A lot of Americans have this thought process that Australians don't have weapons. Trust me, there's more weapons in this country than there's ever been. I have owned my time 44, 40 Winchester shotgun, um, 22s. Hornet was the best 22 I had. 7.62. Used to like target shooting over 1,000 metres. But have I ever shot anything? Absolutely. I would go and shoot something, but I guarantee you, and I swear to you this is the truth, I would eat it. Hunter never raised any weapon in anger against another man. But this country today has more weapons than we've ever had before. That's a fact. That's not me making that up. It's a different mentality here. Two blokes, I remember seeing on a range, some bloke saying, you ever been rifle shooting targets? You know, some people get pedantic. One guy said he was in his spot. Well, these guys had weapons, but what did they do? They had a puncher, had a fight. At the end of the day, after the shoot and everything was settled down, those two blokes were sitting next to each other, one with a very fat lip, one with a bit of a busted ear, having a beer. So I don't know what the mindset in my country is compared to the US, but very few people get shot here. Sadly, like most countries, if anyone gets shot, it's normally themselves, which is very sad, of course. A couple of years ago, one guy, because I was having a similar conversation with a guy about this years ago, he said, oh, well, you're anti-American. I said, what the fuck are you going on about? Oh, you don't believe people should have guns? I said, no, I have no problem with people having guns. And every American is entitled under their constitution with their amendment to have the right to bear arms. I said, that's fine. It's your country, your rights, and you vote for your parliamentarians and your leaders, and that's fine by me. I was simply explaining what we do in my country. But he kept going on, oh, you're anti-American. I said, it couldn't be further from the truth. I said, you're accusing me of being anti-American, but I'm accusing you simply of being a dickhead, which you are. Ridiculous. It's like, I don't know what it was, but when I was a kid, we had no one in Australia's anti-American. In fact, we're not really anti anyone. We're not anti-Russian. We're not anti anything. We prefer to have a barbecue, a few beers, and a laugh, than go to war. Ah, you're talking about the Kray brothers, Lee, I imagine. Ronnie, what's up, mate? You're my turf. I'm gonna take you out. If it's the Kray brothers, they're nasty boys, bad boys. My uncles grew up with them actually in the UK. I had 7 uncles. My mother had a sister and 7 brothers, and they were all from the Greater Manchester area. So there was plenty of Kray action around that time, the 50s, 60s. You're talking about Canada, mate. I don't know. Australians are very much like Canadians, I think, in many ways. I'm not too bothered about things. Um, there's always seems to be some politician sticking his head up, speaking for other people, like politicians in the US to be saying, well, in America, this is what I'm thinking. Well, no, dickhead, that's just you saying it. It doesn't mean the rest of Americans agree with you. Because in Australia, I seriously have met 2 prime ministers of my country. I met John Howard just after he had agreed to send our troops to Iraq. And he said, good day to me. I said, good day, John. He said, how are you going? I said, I'm going real well, but how about taking our fucking troops out of a war that we're not involved with? Well, he walked away in a bit of a smile and didn't want to answer me. And his 2 bodyguards turned around to me and one of them winked as to say, good on you, mate. And then I met, of all places, I met Bob Hawke in Vietnam. I was staying at the Hilton. Yeah, in Ho Chi Minh, as it was called, obviously. had a different name years ago. He was a good bloke. Had a beer with him. But I don't know how many of you Americans could walk up to your leader and say you're a dickhead, as I did to John Howard, or have a beer with the other one. That's the sort of people we are. There's no like barriers or super secret service. You know, they just walk around and either people tell them they're dickheads or they say, yeah, mate, you're doing a good job. We'll be hopefully going to Canada next year. Catch up with a couple of good friends I've got in Canada. Might go to the US, I'm not sure. Not sure whether we'll get into the border. Let's seize the freedom, don't let the fucker in! He's anti-American! Probably, but I'm not. Definitely go to Europe again, catch up with some people. But it's a very short time to get to live on this planet, and I wish people would realise how quickly time passes. Within a blink of an eye, you know, you're 200 years old. And geez, where'd the time go? But got to enjoy life. I think, like I say, some of the things I get a little bit sad about is people, you know, bitching about nothing. What I said is, what have you said, Juice? Stella is a drought dodging fucking piece of shit. Why would you say that, Juice? What's the relevance of saying to other people, I don't know if it's true or not, but what's the relevance for you to say it? What's the point? What's the point, Juice? It's all right making a statement, but there's usually a purpose in doing so. What is your purpose? No, that's not a fact. Anything that you actually say on here, like everyone else, is simply speculation. The fact is delivered in the court of law. Yes, I'm sure if you're mature enough, you'd understand that alluding to the truth is just a fucking lie, basically. So if you have anything to say, you believe it's very much the case, take it to court. Very simple. But if you're going to rant around different sort of social media formats, accuse people of things without facts, and just saying they're facts doesn't make them so. Well, you can be tired of saying, oh, show that one. Where are we? Yes. And the moderator just handled this. Okay. I didn't know what a moderator is. Good on you. Juice says, I'm tired of all these mother effers lying about what they said. Really? Juice? 99% of people just lie. So you must be really tired. But seriously, going around accusing people of something without the substantial fact, which you, if you did have, would be presenting to a certain member of the constabulary and having it delivered into a court of law, simply by wandering around accusing people of certain things without fact, makes you look silly, makes you look, well, irrelevant. Like I say, just because somebody says something does not make it true. There's a couple of places I want to go look at Quebec. A friend of mine lived there for a while in Quebec City, beautiful, and probably heading towards Vancouver somewhere where he now lives. But definitely want to go to Quebec City. Looks absolutely beautiful there, mate. Of course, it's full of Frenchmen, but I'll just, bluff my way through the streets. Yeah, so if you've really got anything to say, Jess, and I'm not attacking you, I'm just telling you how it's said. No point going on social media saying things irrelevant that have no basis or truth behind them other than you say so. If you're really angry, and if you say that's the case, get the law involved, bring it to a court of law, and then stand proudly behind the fact that either you're right or wrong. Alluding to something that you have nothing substantial to put forward to is just waffle. Have you been to Quebec City, VMAC? think I'm in hyperspace again. Here we go. Granddad was one tough ass mofo. I seen him shoot through trying to break into his shed. See, this is just me, Hondo. If you were trying to break into my shed, I'd snap your fucking head off with my hands. I just don't get the idea you've got to turn to a gun. I understand the psyche in America, don't get me wrong, and the right to bear arms and all that, but I wouldn't shoot you. I'd beat the fuck out of you. Trust me. Coming to my property. But why has there got to be a gun involved all the time? One guy answered that to me a few years ago. He said, the reason I got a gun is because most Americans got guns, and if I got a gun, I can protect myself. I'm thinking, right. So I don't think that way. Yeah, I've had plenty of weapons in my life and never once thought about raising them against another human being. Kangaroo, goat, pig, they didn't actually get that sort of courtesy because I hate them. I'm going to go shortly, have a cup of coffee, relax, and probably watch Juice up and open a channel and complain to all these people about how everybody else is mean and nasty and all this lying. Juice, relax. Try and just enjoy your life. If you're perpetually going around being angry, imagine when you turn off the computer. Do you think you're not going to stay angry all the time? And that's free therapy I'm giving you. Chill out, brother. Stop accusing people of things that you've got no substantial evidence for. It's alluding to a truth and as good as much as a lie. And if it makes you feel better to make other people miserable, you seriously need some help. Dude had a knife. Yeah, fair enough. But you know what I mean? When it comes to, if you broke into my house, want to steal something, I'd snap your legs up, shove them up your clacker, and say, on your way. Yeah, no, I had a friend do a video for me in Quebec City. Really lovely old buildings, well done up, and I do like that. I do like history and the reasons behind things were done. And Canada's a bit of a strange place. Oh no, I know. Yeah, I know a little bit of French anyway. But it's a strange place because it's unlike Australia in that you have different provinces that are so different from each other. If you know what I mean. Whereas Australia, you can go from one side to the country. Good morning, Susan. You go one side to the country to the other, and it's thousands of miles to get from one side to the other, and all the states in between. You'll have the same conversation with people that you had where you live. So we're a very young country, of course, only being 200 odd years old, but no, we don't seem to have individual provinces or states as different as Canada does. Now, I'm talking from what Canadians have told me. I'm not making an assumption. It's what they tell me. But I'm looking forward to go to Canada, for sure. Just going to stick the kettle on in the bunker. 1 second. Oh, bit of heat, bit of gas burner. Gather round. Get your marshmallows ready. In this country, Caesar robbers are armed as well to the teeth. It's no joke. Now, I've always believed that everyone's entitled to defend their property. And if we had a similar law in this country, like you've got castle law, in some states of America, I understand not everywhere, where you can shoot someone because they're breaking into your house. I don't particularly want a robber to be dead. Do I want him to go to jail? Probably. Probably deserves it. But my answer would be, Hondo, there's probably far too many people with weapons, with mental issues, mental health issues, that really need to have their weapons removed. I would suggest, if I was the leader of America and I had a box of cigars, my wife looked like a bulldog, I would say to Americans, you can have weapons, but every year we're going to check out and see if you're fucking crazy, like my wife. I think that would be a great idea. Each year, just like if you registered a vehicle or whatever, that you go before a certain committee and they say, Hondo, yeah, you're fine, you're not stupid or evil, mean, nasty or fucking crazy, you can continue to have a gun license. In other words, not impinge on your rights to own and bear arms, but we're just going to make sure that you're not fucking crazy. How would that sit with Americans, that if you had to each year justify that you're not crazy to continue having a license to have a weapon? How would that sound? No, even a very, very long knife, Susie, would not really help. Junker says, good day, Junker. Junker says, I would go to Canada if they let me in. Oh dear. Well, I mean, if it was a justifiable removal of someone's right to bear arms because they're mentally unstable, that would be a good thing, wouldn't it? Seriously. You know, not just get a clearance and then in the US you can have the permission to buy whatever you like, and you just happen to at the time not be crazy. But some people have mental health issues down the line. I'd love to see that introduced in the United States, where people each year have to, I don't know how they would do it, but go through a quick board and a check and assessment and look at the history over the last 12 months. Were they involved in any crime? So my point being is that I do not want you to have your independence removed or the right to bear arms in the US, but I'd like you a few more fucking safety checks in place, if you know what I mean. I don't see it harmful if I walk into an office, sit for 20 minutes, they bring up any criminal activity I may or may not have done, and they say, no, you're fine, Seeds. You can continue to have the right to bear arms. But you can't continue the right to bear arms if you're mad as a cut snake. We take it away from you. What's wrong with that policy, guys? Oh, that's what we do in Australia. Still happens. I walk down the street and there's two blokes having a fight. It can be over anything, of course. And like everywhere on this planet, for some reason, road rage is getting out of hand. Every day, some bloke's popping out of the car and punching some other bloke. You brake too heavily, mate. I'm going to punch you. God, he didn't have a gun in his car, you could say. But how would that be? I mean, I know of some of the safeguards in place for someone to be registered in the US for a weapon. What about an annual check on everybody who has a license to carry a gun or have weapons at home? Because each year things change. Mental health issues, can take years to unfold with certain people, and there could be emotive reasons. Divorces, I could go on and on. But my point being, each year, if I'm assessed, and at the time they say, Seeds, you see you've had a bit of trouble and a bit of problems, so what we're doing is we're revoking your right to bear arms for 12 months. Come and see us in 12 months' time and we'll reassess you. What's wrong with that? Doing it that way, guys? Don't you think that might end some of the misery for some? Look, I mean, I don't want to go down this path for one reason, but the other reason is, look, we don't bury, and I'm not saying this facetiously or attacking anybody, but we don't bury school children in my country. Just had to be said, I guess. Yeah, it's not quite true though, Hondo. What I'm saying is, over time, even the most sane person affected by circumstances can become mentally unstable. And I read about that from the US all the time. Hence, I'll repeat this statement, Hondo. If you read that some bloke that you knew that you thought, no, he was a good bloke, he went crazy, he's got 3 people in a 7-Eleven because something had happened in his life and had been building up for a number of years. I'm not saying for the Second Amendment to be removed. I'm saying let's have a look at everybody each year to see if they're actually in a position mentally, health-wise, to have the right to bear an arm. Take up the years if need be, and after they've stabilised, give it back to them. That's all I'm saying. I think you could make it, g'day Joking, you could make it quite simplistic, Joe. Give an example. You walk into the office, there's four of us here, and I pull up, Joe, you were charged with assault and a fracas with a couple of blokes, and then you went crazy, did something else. We're going to revoke your licence to bear arms, Joe King, for 12 months and reassess it then. So that's my point. Based on logic, if someone's right to bear arms is removed, but not totally as far as forever, based on their behaviour or their actions or the criminality that occurred during that period, that makes more sense to me. And people will yell and scream, it'll cost money to do this thing. Well, it costs a lot of money when you bury 30 or 40 people from a fucking school and it destroys people's lives. So I'm not against the Second Amendment at all. It should be upheld. It's your choice as people of that country. But accountability is lacking terribly because people from time to time in their lives have issues they can build up. If they had to be assessed at a certain time because things were happening, maybe prevention of deaths is what I'm talking about more than anything else. But when I'm elected President of the United States, I'm going to make it great again. Morning, love. Wife's got up. Now, this is where you can fix this problem, Joe King. I would actually invoke the people that were doing the board, the ex-military or military, based on facts, just logic, nothing else, nothing to do with politics. These people will be paid professionals. There are plenty of people within the military that do psychological assessment. You're well aware of that, as I am. And what it would mean is that based on not speculation, it's not a court hearing. It's based on facts. If you've run a for a year, done some stupid thing, your right to bear arms should be removed. Okay. Parole period of 12 and a review would be done. If you could prevent the death of just one person, because this new law of seeds is brought in, isn't that a good thing? You're not taking the right to bear arms away from anybody, you're just making everybody accountable. Yeah, the problem, Hondo, is that politicians socks, they'll go with anything that's popular. And I keep hearing similar politicians in America say the same shit. You know, we should have total guns banned and all that. That's just being plain stupid. No one, I haven't heard anyone say what I'm saying, is that there's accountability every 12 months to have the right to bear arms. You have the right, but it's like driving a vehicle. It's a privilege, if you know what I mean, to bear arms as it is to drive a vehicle. Both are weapons, both can kill. If you're a fucking lousy driver, I'm going to take your license away, if you understand what I mean. And if you're a lousy person, I'm going to take your right to bear arms away. G'day, Jag Girl. Morning, Becca. Yes, my point, Becca, is quite simple. And I believe everyone should have the right to bear arms. However, it's like driving a car. It's a privilege. And if you actually abuse the privilege, and everybody in their life comes across times where they're down, depressed, and if they haven't got a weapon in the house, well, they're not going to shoot somebody. If they're assessed as being unstable at the moment by a board each year, and the right to bear arms is removed for 12, then there is no harm in that. It doesn't mean you've lost forever the right to bear arms. People just saying appears unstable, or remove the possibility you might harm somebody. I would just about guarantee, and I'm not an American, but the facts are quite clear. The right to bear arms will remain. Why? Because the people want it so. So it will be that way. But the accountability of loss of life in your country is horrendous numbers. We're talking horrendous numbers every year. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if someone said it's over 20,000 people a year. So what I'm saying to you is stand up for the right to bear arms by all means, but have accountability. Like I say, we do not bury school children in this country. No one walks in and shoots anyone. You know, there are certainly bad guys around shooting each other. That always happens there. But accountability is something that should be applied to the right to have anything. If Junker Jason's a shit driver and keeps smashing into vehicles, and he's not drunk, he's just a lousy driver, well, I'm going to take your license away, Junker, because you're a danger. It should be no different with the right to bear arms. It is the right to drive a vehicle. But I only hear two sides of this argument. The far left saying remove guns completely and give everyone feathers, so you can beat yourself to death with a feather, or the far right saying look, everyone should be entitled to a 50 caliber, walk around the streets with it. There is no in between, which is just, if you want, like I say, to reduce the deaths from firearms in the United States, doing nothing's not going to change it. You get my point? Doing nothing. But if you actually make everybody who has the right to bear arms accountable for their behaviour during the year, g'day, Sister Earth, that would be my point. That's all I'm saying. You know, when you get to be about 70 years of age in this country, you've got to go and get an eye test at the licensing place. And if you fail it, they say, mate, you're driving a bus from now on and a taxi because you're not driving anymore. You're a danger. It should be no different to bearing arms. It's not wisdom, it's common sense, Becca. If you think about it, well, I get a perspective you guys don't get. I'm not an American. And I see the argument for and against gun laws is just absurd. In other words, remove them completely or give everyone bigger ones. Just make people accountable. That's all you have to do. And if I said to you, if you walked into a supermarket and the checkout chick threw your food on the floor after she'd scanned it, you wouldn't accept that. You want something done about it. In other words, if someone at the time has mental health issues because of circumstance, I'm not saying they're crazy, but they're crazy at the moment, remove their right to bear arms. You are protecting others and themselves from possible harm. Driving a vehicle is not in the Constitution. No, I didn't say it was, but it is actually a privilege. You know what I mean, Joe? It's not a right to drive a vehicle, and it should be the same for a weapon. It should be a privilege, is what I'm saying. That's my platform for the day. Things like that should be a privilege, not a right, even though constitutionally it is so. But as such, can be removed based on your behaviour. You're dead right, Hondo, but that would say even more about our alcoholic problem and drug issues. But they generally kill themselves, Hondo, not others. I've got people know a little bit about my history. I'm an ex-corrections officer. I also worked in the psychological division of prisons. And I can tell you that anyone that has served a sentence for the crime they've committed has paid their debt. It is a forced issue based on society rules and regulations in regards to how long you've got to be in prison. After you've served your time, you've paid your debt. There should be no consequences after that, particularly if it's not a violent crime. So as far as those issues goes, I differ from other people. Just because someone has been a criminal in the past doesn't mean they'll be a criminal in the future. And if society thinks they should never have the right to do anything, well, don't let them out of jail. See my point? If they're that bad, don't let them out. Anyway, I'm going to shoot off. I've been on here far too long. Nice to catch up with all of you. Spread the love. Keep everyone happy. Don't argue. Don't bitch about things that aren't important. Don't argue with people you don't know. You know, don't start your day by getting on YouTube and attacking someone. Just coming out and started waffling crap about somebody. And I thought, what's the point? Why are you doing that nonsense? You know, if you don't like somebody, just don't fucking speak to them. I know it's fucking incredibly simple to think about that, but stop arguing about issues that are not important from people you don't know and will never meet in real life. That's my message for the day. But anyway, have a good one, guys. We're going to shoot off and start our day. I'm sure most of you are heading into the evening over there in the US, so have a good one. And if you've got nothing nice to say about somebody, don't say anything at all. That would be my say. So until next time, I shall see you later.